My name is Aysha Pennerman. I am an artist and a muralist. So I've always been into art, more so drawing. When I was maybe 5, 6 years old, when I would sit down with my mom, she would do my hair. Always had a notebook, notepad, piece of paper, anything, and I was drawing. As I got older, like in high school, any and all the art classes they had, I was trying to take them. And then that continued in college. I studied art in college at Georgia State University, but it was actually in college where I was introduced to graphic designing. And it was at this particular museum, the Apex Museum, where I would do some of their graphic work from like books and posters and things. We did this particular book on public art in Atlanta. And so me and the former president at the time, Mr. Dan Moore Sr., we would drive around the city of Atlanta and take pictures of public art murals, structures, or sculptures by Black artists or about the Black community. So that was really the seed that was planted around public art. So when I was in 4th and 5th grade, me and a friend, we used to make these envelopes and just draw cartoon characters on it and sell it. We would sell them to kids in our class. So I was like, okay, I could make money from this. So I think for me, it was kind of like a side hustle. But if I was like that age, like 8, 9 years old, and I look into the future and see me as where I am now, it would blow my mind. I would like, how do we get from here to there? Being in Savannah, I didn't see too many murals, and neither did I see people painting them. Neither did I see a Black woman painting these murals. The older I got, into high school and college, still the murals in the public art that I did see, it was by white men. So to be able to see a Black woman doing this stuff could have really impacted me at a young age. Usually the start when it comes to my personal practice is just a random idea may pop up while I'm driving or walking, and I want to explore that. And so the current piece that I'm working on was that, but I also been wanting to paint my mom, for example. So it's still that like idea of these random ideas, but it's also the inspiration around my family, and then just tying those things together. So that's been an example of, okay, I want to do this, but I want to do it in the method that I've been wanting to explore lately. I gravitate towards more bright, saturated colors, like the blues, the turquoises, the yellows, the oranges. Those are typically the ones I gravitate to. One, because they are complementary of each other, but also just the feeling that it, expresses. The yellows and oranges expressing that happiness, that joyfulness, that blue expressing that calmingness, depending on the variation of that blue. So in a lot of my work, I do like to express that joy, that happiness, that hope that comes from those colors. On the canvas side, I do prefer acrylics. They're just easier to work with for me. I took an oil class in college and I hated it. And I said I'm not gonna say I would never do oil. I think oil is a beautiful medium, and when you know how to utilize it, it's amazing. But I think for me, the patience, you have to have a lot of patience with oil because it dries, it doesn't dry as fast. And so with acrylic, I like that it dries fast because I'm able to move on to the next thing because I will lose interest quickly in it. So I think that's why acrylic works for me. Also the smell, like oils, I don't know. I think also being in that class, I didn't like the way the oils smell in the different mediums. I got beef with oil right now. I don't often use spray paint, but I've been wanting to. The only times I really use spray paint is actually in my personal work. I'll combine it on a canvas with some acrylic paint. But I know there's some different techniques I want to do with murals, and I think spray paint may be the better and the quicker method to utilize it. My subject matter has been changing recently. I feel like I'm in this phase of evolving into some different things. Previously, it's been a focus on Black women, women empowerment, women in their hair, their afros, and just the textures of our hair. But lately, it's been more so on just more personal experiences. Recently, I've been painting my boys, and that's been a matter of just seeing them grow up and just seeing how fast and how fleeting these moments are. I've been wanting to just hold on to those moments. And so lately, it's been really just my family has been the focus point right now. I really wanted to put a focus on not just trying to beautify a space, but really impact that space and impact that community and show those voices that aren't often amplified. So I would say that has been my focus in majority of the spaces that I'm in is, all right, who's this for? Who hasn't been heard from? Like what voices are being oppressed or what voices are being ignored, and being able to like amplify those stories. I think it's important for me to be able to express myself creatively because it would be a very dull life if I couldn't. For all my life, I've been always wanting to create and express myself. And this has just been a way for me to navigate life. Even just with personal life experiences, art has always been a way to express that, especially in my personal practice. It's like I have to get it out. You know, like there's so many thoughts. And so many things that are going on in my head. So to be able to express that outwardly onto a canvas or onto a piece of clay has been just very therapeutic for me, very healthy for me. In my personal practice, I really enjoy surprising myself. There's been some things I've been wanting to do, and I've been pushing myself to just go further in my practice, go further in just the different styles I've been doing. Sometimes it's stressful. When I was doing these pieces of my sons, it was a stressful process. But I was like, no, like I had to push myself. Like I want to get better. You know, there's things I want to do. And so I wanted to see if I could do it. So being able to see the final piece, you know, on display, it was like, wow, I did it. Half of the job as an artist is problem solving, especially when it comes to public art. There are a lot of challenges that comes with a wall. You know, maybe it's the surface, maybe there's trees or things in the way, or okay, I can't, you know, use a projector for this wall, I'm gonna have to do a grid, or so there's always a lot of problem solving that comes with these different projects. And so to be able to solve the problem is a great feeling, and it gives you the confidence that you can do it again. One of the biggest things that I tell myself and that I would tell any other artist out there is don't let these gatekeepers dictate your worth. You know, there's a lot of artist calls, there's a lot of murals and things out here, you know, that you can apply for. And sometimes when you continue to get those no's and the I'm sorry, you didn't make it, like that can really feel diminishing. You know, I've been there, but I had to realize that like, well, y'all's lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, don't let the gatekeepers of these calls dictate your worth and your work. There was a project that I was doing and there were some frustrating moments, but it was the kids. While I was painting, I would hear the kids walk by and they were super excited and, you know, they were like, you're doing such a good job. It was really the kids that really pushed me to knock it out. You know, they were asking me questions about how are you doing this? And so just remembering me at that age, you know, not seeing artists, not seeing especially like Black women artists out here doing this type of work. So to be able to expose them to this profession and showing them what's possible, I think was a big motivating factor for me. And it still is a motivating factor for me, is to just showing people out there what's possible. Sometimes I put people in the forethought of what I'm making, and those tend to be pieces I don't like. So I started shifting my thinking, and this is in my personal practice, not necessarily public art, but I started shifting that thinking into focusing on what I want out of my work, and then just letting the people that gravitate towards it. I know that my work isn't for everybody, right? And so I had to release the thought of like, how are people gonna feel about this work? And I've been more so focusing on what do I wanna express in this work? Like what do I want out of this piece? And so in doing that, I realized that even through that work, it's still inspiring somebody. My name is Aysha Pennerman. I am an artist and a muralist. This is my voice, and this is my life.